corn or sugarcane, cups, cutlery, and takeout containers designed to be tossed in the compost bin instead of the garbage. Compostable plastic suppliers are at every turn.
It's all natural, right? It's plant-based. It's going to go from the earth back to the earth.
But certification is voluntary in Canada, and that means some products labeled compostable might not be.
You've probably seen them on the shelves. Those products wrapped in brown paper, stamped with a leafy green logo, maybe even a little text that says biodegradable, compostable, or 100% recycled. They look wholesome, responsible, even noble. You might feel a small surge of pride as you drop one into your cart, believing you're doing something good for the planet. But here's the harsh truth. A lot of so-called eco-friendly packaging is nothing more than a carefully marketed lie. In recent years, companies have realized that slapping a green label on their packaging doesn't just make them look good, it sells. And in the race to appeal to environmentally conscious consumers, many of them have crossed the line into deception. This isn't just about being misled, it's about the massive amount of waste we continue to produce under the illusion that we're being responsible. One of the biggest offenders in this space is the term biodegradable. Sounds great, right? Something that breaks down naturally and returns to the earth. But here's the problem. Almost everything is technically biodegradable given enough time. A wooden chair is biodegradable. So is a cotton shirt. Even plastic will degrade eventually. It just might take hundreds of years. And companies know this. When they label packaging as biodegradable, they're not telling you how long it takes, under what conditions, or what it leaves behind. Most of these biodegradable materials need very specific industrial composting environments, high heat, oxygen, controlled humidity, to break down properly. Throw them in your backyard compost bin, and you're likely to find them intact months later. Toss them in the regular trash, and they'll end up in a landfill, where the lack of oxygen and sunlight means they won't degrade any faster than standard plastic. In other words, they're biodegradable in theory, but useless in practice. Then there's the issue of compostable packaging. This one seems even more convincing. Compostable suggests not only will it break down, but it'll do so cleanly, turning into nutrient-rich soil. Some of it does, but again, the devil is in the details. Many compostable products are only compostable in industrial facilities, not in your backyard. Worse, some compostable materials are blended with plastic polymers to give them structure or durability. That means they'll contaminate compost piles and ruin the final product. You're left with a mess that can't be used in farming, landscaping, or gardens. To make matters worse, most cities don't have the infrastructure to handle industrial composting of packaging. So even if the package says compostable, there's a good chance it'll end up in a landfill anyway, where it behaves no differently than ordinary plastic. Consumers think they're doing the right thing, separating waste, following the label, trusting the brand, but behind the scenes, it's a dead end. Another scam? The glorification of recycled materials. Don't get it twisted. Recycling is better than tossing things in the trash. But when companies proudly declare that their packaging is made of 100% recycled content, it's often a smokescreen. First, many of these claims refer to post-industrial waste, not post-consumer. That means they're just reusing their own factory scraps, something they've always done. It's not saving the planet, it's just cutting costs. Even worse, the process of recycling itself isn't as clean or effective as we're led to believe. Materials degrade with each cycle. Paper fibers shorten, plastics lose strength, and most packaging is a hybrid of multiple materials. Paper and plastic fused together, foil linings, coatings, adhesives that make them impossible to recycle. These end up getting sorted out and discarded, even if you put them in the right bin. And let's talk about one of the most frustrating tricks of all, greenwashing through color and design. You've seen it. Matte finish packaging in earthy tones, green leaves, water droplets, buzzwords like natural, organic, clean, or gentle on the planet. But what does any of that actually mean? Legally, almost nothing. There's very little regulation around these terms. Companies can use them freely without proving any real environmental benefit. A plastic bottle can have a leafy logo and say eco-conscious while being made from virgin plastic with no recyclable components. A detergent might boast plant-based ingredients while being packaged in layers of plastic and foil. The entire design is meant to trick your brain into associating the product with sustainability, even when it's anything but. A particularly sneaky variation of this is the use of plastic-like packaging made from cornstarch or other plant-based polymers. These are marketed as biodegradable or compostable alternatives to plastic, but most are still industrial-only materials. Worse, if they end up in the standard recycling streams, they can contaminate entire batches of recycled plastic. They look like plastic, they act like plastic, but they don't belong in the same bin, and consumers are never told that. Let's not forget about the rise of refillable packaging systems either. While refill programs can be great in theory, many of them are set up to fail. They require consumers to mail back containers, travel to specific refill stations, or buy proprietary refill pods that still come wrapped in plastic. It's a system that often creates more waste in the name of reducing it, and yet the companies behind them get to boast about their sustainability initiatives, win awards, and charge a premium, all while quietly funneling tons of packaging into the waste stream. Perhaps the most damaging part of all of this is the effect it has on consumer behavior. People want to do the right thing. They want to reduce their impact. But when they're fed a constant stream of misleading messages, they're lulled into complacency. They believe the problem is being handled, that buying a certain brand or choosing the green label is enough. It's not. True sustainability isn't just about what a package is made of, it's about its entire life cycle. Where it came from, how it was produced, how it's used, and what happens after. A cardboard box made from virgin trees, treated with toxic dyes, shipped across the globe, and coated in plastic isn't sustainable just because it isn't styrofoam. A reusable tote bag made of heavy cotton might need to be used hundreds of times to offset the impact of its production. But none of that gets printed on the label. There are brands out there doing it right, but they're few and far between, and they're rarely the ones with the loudest green messaging. Real eco-packaging avoids unnecessary materials altogether. It embraces minimalism, not aesthetic design. It prioritizes local sourcing, durability, and genuine recyclability. It doesn't chase trends or rely on buzzwords. And most importantly, it educates the consumer honestly, even if that means acknowledging limitations. Consumers, too, need to shift their perspective. It's tempting to believe that a greener product is just one shelf over, that if you pay a little more, buy the right brand, or find the latest eco-innovation, you can shop your way out of the environmental crisis. But real change doesn't come from packaging. It comes from reducing our dependence on packaging altogether. That means buying in bulk, supporting refill stations, saying no to individually wrapped items, reusing what you already have, ignoring the marketing and looking at the materials, understanding your local recycling and composting capabilities, asking hard questions about the full supply chain, because every time you pick a product, you're casting a vote, not just for the item, but for the system behind it. Manufacturers will follow the money. If flashy green packaging sells, they'll keep pumping it out. If consumers start demanding genuine, transparent solutions instead, the tide will shift. But we can't wait for regulation to fix this. We can't count on brands to police themselves. It starts with being informed, being skeptical, and refusing to fall for the easy answers. It's frustrating, of course. It shouldn't be this hard. In a world drowning in waste, the least we should be able to expect is honesty. But for now, that honesty is in short supply. And so it falls to us, the everyday consumer, to separate the truth from the marketing. Not just with our words, but with our wallets. So next time you're standing in that aisle, eyeing the eco-packaged granola bar or the biodegradable cup, ask yourself a few things. Where will this actually go when I'm done with it? Can my city really process this material? Does this company explain what makes it sustainable? Or just expect me to take it on faith? Am I buying this because it's better for the planet? Or because it makes me feel like I'm doing something good? That gap between perception and reality is where the scam lives. And the only way to shut it down is to stop giving it oxygen. Ignore the slogans, skip the trendy logos, do your homework, Make choices rooted in facts, not feelings. Because at the end of the day, greenwashing only works if we believe it. Once we stop falling for the scam, the packaging has nothing left to hide behind. And that's when real change begins.